This is The Metro on WDET FM. I'm Tia Graham. If you are a practicing Catholic, today is the last chance to indulge in some of your favorite snacks and treats. And if you love sweet treats, then a Paczki is probably today's snack of choice. Over the last few days, bakeries around town have been preparing their takes on the Polish dessert. And it has become a staple ever since Polish immigrated here. Michigan is the home to the third largest population of Polish Americans in the U.S. Hamtramck was the original home to many Polish immigrants, but after the Dodge main factory in the neighborhood closed, many moved to the surrounding areas like Warren and Sterling Heights. The American Polish Cultural Center, a hub for Polish Americans in the Detroit area, is located in Troy, Michigan. The Metro's Kerry Jr. II spoke with George Krzetkowski, a board member of the Cultural Center, about Polish culture and history, and the meaning behind Fat Tuesday, also known as Paczki Day.
I guess what's probably makes the most sense to start is to have you define your organization, the American Polish Cultural Center. How long have you been around? What kind of work do you do? And why is this organization important for the Polish community in the Detroit area?
The American Polish Cultural Center has been around for about 40 years. It is probably the most important organization in the Polish American community in Metro Detroit. It's to promote and retain the Polish culture and to teach it to others. We have a banquet hall, a restaurant. The National Polish American Sports Hall of Fame is located inside the building. We have a catering delivery service. So we have a lot of functions, a lot of food, and that we serve. And Paczki Day is one of our big events. So for the Polish community, it's probably the most important Polish organization in the Detroit area.
I'm curious to know some of the significant contributions of Polish people, Polish Americans too, that people don't often know about, that people overlook.
I would say one of the biggest ones is Nicholas Copernicus. I believe he's the astronomer who determined that the Earth rotates around the sun, not the other way around, for hundreds of years ago. Frederick Chopin, he was a very famous pianist. Madame Curie, I believe she was a great chemist. And various composers, like I said, Frederick Chopin from hundreds of years ago. In terms of Polish Americans, the most important ones were probably the Polish American athletes in the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame. A lot of them from the Metro Detroit area. Some of them where they may not even have a Polish last name, but maybe their mothers were Polish, like Alan Trammell and others from the Detroit Tigers, Kelly Tripucka. They're in the Hall of Fame, and countless others.
Obviously, Mardi Gras is really familiar. People know the name and hear about all the celebrations that take place in New Orleans. And it's like our main reference almost. And we know that holiday is a Christian European holiday that spread to the Americas during the colonial times. Talk about the European origins of Paczki Day and how it has some of the similar roots to Mardi Gras.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just Polish. It is other Eastern European countries that celebrate the Catholic faith. And from that area, yes, most definitely. And for Polish, maybe the Polish signified it or celebrated a little more in depth than some other Eastern European country. I believe Ukraine also perhaps has some of that, the Catholic areas. But it's mostly a Polish religious tradition. But there are, again, other Eastern European countries have this as well.
That's a helpful distinction. A Catholic holiday that we've learned through the Polish culture and that we celebrate with Polish food, because the Paczki is Polish specifically.
Correct. It's a lot more than just the normal jelly donut that you can get at Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons. Something a little special, and I'm sure anyone who's been to Hamtramck knows. So hears about Paczki Day on TV and Hamtramck with the various bakeries. So it's been celebrated here for many years. Yes.
Yeah, and then I guess I'm wondering the significance of the Paczki itself, or the Punchek itself. You got to get me together on the pronunciations here. I always
you're good. You know your stuff.
I've tried.
You said it perfectly. Well
Punchek.
done. I'm impressed. Punchek. Yes.
There we go.
One Punchek, multiple Paczki. So good job on that. A lot of people don't get that correct. It's the main treat of indulgence. So it's the traditional Polish filling in Poland, which my mom actually makes every year. She makes a handful of them homemade. Is plum or prune. Now the most popular ones here are raspberry, strawberry, blueberry, custard, and apple, and those are the flavors that the American Polish Cultural Center is selling. They started selling punchkis last Thursday because that is the traditional day in Poland. So we have a lot of immigrants from Polish. My family was immigrants from Poland. I was born here, so they still recognize it as Fat Thursday.
You're listening to The Metro on 1019 WDET. I'm Kerry Jr. II. I'm speaking with George Kurtzakowski. He's a board member for the American Polish Cultural Center. We are discussing Fat Tuesday and Polish culture in Michigan. I want to talk a little bit about the Polish community itself. During this holiday, during this observance on Fat Tuesday, people will descend on Hamtramck, which is where a lot of Polish immigrants, of course, originally settled in this region. Now, currently, it's an immigrant community with over 20 languages spoken there. Just tell me the significance that city still has to Polish culture and Polish history.
It was very important since about sometime in the 1930s when the Dodge main plant was built, and a significant amount of immigrants specifically came to Detroit for work in the auto industry from Poland. I've had ancestors that did that. Hamtramck at one point in the 70s and 80s was like 96% Polish. Over the years, when people with the Dodge main plant later closed in the early 80s, and then the GM Poletown plant was built, so that changed a few of the demographics, and a lot of people, they just eventually moved a little further north, like my family did, to Macomb County over the years, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and now I believe the latest estimate from Hamtramck city leaders, it's about 6 or 7% Polish from what I recall, reading in the newspapers. But it absolutely, there's still a vibrant Polish presence. There's a lot of Polish people there, and there's a lot of the credit union that I work for. They have a branch in Hamtramck. There's still some Polish bakeries. There's still some Polish stores. Churches that have mass in Polish. There's two of them. So there's still activity there, even though the bulk of the Polish community has moved to the north, Warren, Sterling Heights, and some to Shelby Township, Troy. The biggest concentration is Macomb County of Polish people in the Metro Detroit area. There's also a very good Polish community further downriver in Wyandotte. There's a Polish church there, some large Polish organizations. Klub Polonia is one of them. They had a little bit, they were a little more active or a little more larger in the past, but they still have a presence in Wyandotte. And so as people got older, they moved to other areas in Oakland and Wayne and Macomb counties. But for the most part, it's the center. Sterling Heights is probably the big hitter in terms of the Polish American community nowadays. Oh.
Do you feel like when this holiday comes around, Fat Tuesday, Paczki Day, that the Polish community reunites in Hamtramck? Is Hamtramck still like a destination where people gather for this holiday? Or do you feel like it's now in the suburbs that you mentioned, the Sterling Heights, it's the Warrens, the Troys?
I would say for some people, they do go back to Hamtramck and just to relive their roots, especially those that live there. It's been a couple years since I went back down there for Paczki Day. But maybe most people, I would say, they just celebrate. They just go to their nearest bakery and buy the Paczki, probably in the suburb. But there is a decent amount. Hamtramck really puts on a good Paczki Day. They had their Paczki run last Saturday, which is an event that they run through the city related to the Paczki Day. So it's still a huge tradition. And yeah, there is a good handful of people that still come down there, and they'll enjoy eating at the Polish restaurant, participating in the Paczki run, eating at one. There's still 2 Polish restaurants in Hamtramck that have been around since, some of the 80s potentially.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk also about the holiday itself. This day is in anticipation of Lent, when traditionally you fast or give something up until Easter. It's in recognition of course, Jesus Christ, who fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. But can you talk to me about the significance of that? Because nowadays people give up more than just food. They give up vices or they give up habits.
Well, I was raised Catholic. Polish people are traditionally very Catholic, very religious, and during Lent we would abstain from gorging ourselves or eating, and then no meat on Fridays for real strict following Catholics. They don't eat meat on Fridays during Lent, and they definitely practice abstinence from certain vices. And I have a handful of Facebook friends who go off Facebook for Lent. Those that are religious on social, they go off for social media for give it up for Lent, and there's different levels of spirituality. So some people who take it more seriously will obviously follow this more closely and participate in this more intensely. Others maybe not so much, but it's all in all, it's just trying to be, trying to be a good person, I suppose, and just trying to do the right thing, help others, and that's all you can ask for, and be good to others. And that's more along the lines of what most traditional Polish people are all about, just trying to be good to people, help others, and try to do the right thing.
Are you giving anything up for Lent?
I'll definitely give up the meat on Fridays, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'll definitely try to cut down on my social media activity for sure, and try to stuff like that. Definitely.
Oh man, that's good. That's a good one for me to incorporate too. I'm always bad at finding something good, but cutting down on social media, I feel like is always good. I've always kind of made that lifestyle shift to try and be on it less, try to engage less, but to turn it off completely for 40 days sounds like bliss.
Yeah, it probably does. Yeah, definitely clears your head and gives you time for other things in life to think about.
Absolutely. Paczki recommendation. What flavor do you think people need to try?
I would definitely choose the raspberry. I think that's one of my favorites. It's my wife's favorite, so absolutely.
George Krzetkowski is a board member of the Cultural Center for the American Polish Central Center. Before we continue today's show, we want to address some saddening news. Reverend Jesse Jackson died today at the age of 84. He was an American civil rights leader, minister, and politician who was a protege of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Jackson established and led the Rainbow Push Coalition for over 5 decades. Until former President Barack Obama was elected president in 2008, Reverend Jesse Jackson had been the most successful Black U.S. presidential candidate in history. He is survived by his wife, Jacqueline, and 6 children. Coming up, as we continue to honor Black History Month, we'll learn about an initiative to highlight Black art galleries and institutions, events, and showings happening. Stay right there. This is The Metro.